For many, the most outrageous part of Epstein's plea bargain was a seedy deal he struck with the Attorney General for the Southern District of Florida. It gave Epstein and any alleged co-conspirators, known or unknown, immunity from further prosecution.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're exploring the most shocking times celebrities passed away in jail or police custody.
Aaron Hernandez is found guilty of murdering Odin Lloyd.
You were sentenced by order of the court for the term of your natural life without the possibility of parole.
We won't be looking at people who became famous due to their crimes. Instead, we'll focus on those who gained recognition in other areas before their arrests. Jan Plas, labeled the father of kickboxing in the Netherlands. Plas opened the renowned MojoPoints gym in Amsterdam in 1978, which produced some of the best to grace the sport, such as Rob Kamen, Peter Arts, and André Menart. Yet even when he was doing this, there was a darker side to Plas. Involved in organized crime with the group De Hakelaar, the Dutchman committed all sorts of crimes, including kidnapping. In 2008, Plas was arrested for trafficking illegal substances. At the same time, his daughter and son-in-law, who were police officers, were arrested for fraud. In 2010, Plas was reportedly found in his cell after taking his own life. Emil Hácha. Depending on who you ask, Hácha was either a patriot or a traitor to the former country of Czechoslovakia. Following the Munich Agreement, which allowed Adolf Hitler's Germany to annex part of Czechoslovakia, Hácha became the nation's president in 1938. In 1939, Hitler gave him a choice. Either Hácha allowed Germany to occupy Czechoslovakia and keep some autonomy, or their army would brutalize the nation. The president went with the former, turning him into the state president of Bohemia and Moravia as he swore allegiance to Hitler. In 1945, Hácha was arrested by Soviet Union forces and taken to prison. During the arrest, he was said to have been brutally beaten before dying from an unknown cause a few weeks later. Dudu Topaz. Starting in the 1970s, Topaz became a fixture in Israeli entertainment as a TV host, director, comedian, and many more roles. His popularity turned him into a national icon as he was nicknamed the Ratings King. However, in 2009, Topaz was arrested for allegations that he was the organizer and financier behind attacks on multiple TV executives, presenters, and agents. Topaz was also accused of possessing illegal substances. Reports soon emerged that the disgraced host confessed to being behind the assaults. A couple of months after his arrest, Topaz attempted to take his own life in prison. However, he survived. A few weeks later, Topaz tried again and passed away. Lawrence Phillips. If it wasn't for his personal and legal troubles, Phillips could have been a star in the NFL.
Watch the lead block right there. Nice job against Ron George. And that's full speed running by Lawrence Phillips.
Phillips goes in for his fourth touchdown.
In 2005, 2 years after being released from the Canadian football team, the Calgary Stampeders, his legal problems took over his athletic career when Phillips was arrested after trying to drive his car into a group of teenagers. He was found guilty and sentenced to jail. In 2009, the former running back was convicted of assaulting his former partner, earning him a combined sentence of 31 years inside. In 2015, it got worse when Phillips' cellmate Damian Soward was found dead in their cell. Phillips was charged with the murder. However, before the trial, he took his own life in 2016.
Maybe he just felt, being going to be accused of murder, spend the rest of his life in prison. Maybe he felt he just didn't have no hope no more. It just looks like he just lost all hope.
Brian Christopher. While he was the son of legendary wrestler Jerry the King Lawler, Christopher had a legacy of his own at WWE as Grandmaster Sexay by being in the beloved tag team of Too Cool with Scotty 2 Hotty.
Grandmaster Sexay, Brian Christopher, any other aliases you go by?
Oh yeah, I'd go by former WWE World Tag Team Champion, Grandmaster Sexay, one half of one of the most famous stables in all of wrestling, Too Cool.
Sadly, that run ended in 2001 with his release after an arrest for substance trafficking. Christopher then spent years juggling an independent career with occasional WWE appearances. However, in 2018, he was arrested for evading police after being suspected of a DUI. 3 weeks later, Christopher took his own life in his cell within Tennessee's Hardman County Jail.
At least 200 people turned out here at Hope Church to pay their respects to the man known as Brian Christopher. There were signs of his personality in the many Pittsburgh Steelers and wrestling memorabilia displayed.
Lawler issued a lawsuit against the jail for the wrongful death of his son, which was dismissed in 2024. Jim Gordon. As a highly respected drummer, Gordon was part of the Derek and the Dominoes band, which was led by Eric Clapton. On top of that, he was a session drummer who worked with acts including Neil Diamond, Alice Cooper, George Harrison, and many, many more. Yet away from music, Gordon was struggling with undiagnosed schizophrenia. His illness led to him hearing voices, which encouraged him to attack his mother in 1983, taking her life. Following his arrest, Gordon was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Regardless, he was sentenced to 16 years to life in jail. While he was up for parole several times, Gordon didn't appear at the hearings, resulting in parole being denied. In 2023, he passed away from natural causes at Vacaville's California medical facility. Taiji Sawada. Better known by only his first name, Taiji became a star with the legendary rock band X-Japan. Even after leaving the group in 1992, the bassist would go on to work with several other bands such as Loudness, as well as his own projects. Yet according to his partner, Tomomi Akatsuka, Taiji was battling several mental and physical health issues. In 2011, a year after reuniting with X-Japan for a gig, Taiji was arrested in Saipan after attempting to break a window on an airplane as his manager fought to stop him. However, a couple of days later, the guitarist was found unresponsive after attempting to take his life in jail. While he was rushed to the hospital, Taiji passed away shortly after. Jean Dupont. With a long lineage and a historic family and its incredible wealth, Dupont used his fortune to fund his passion for sports, especially wrestling, setting up the Foxcatcher Farm to train the next generation of U.S. wrestling stars.
Friends describe DuPont as an eccentric millionaire with an avid interest in Olympic sports.
The team featured Olympic gold medalists Mark Schultz, Dave Schultz, and Kurt Angle, who either competed for DuPont's team or coached them. However, in 1996, DuPont's increasingly erratic behavior became deadly when he fatally shot Dave. The multimillionaire then locked himself in his mansion before negotiating his surrender to the police days later.
Within a few moments, our SWAT teams were on location, and they made a capture.
He was sentenced to 13 to 30 years in jail. In 2010, while housed in Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Laurel Highlands, Dupont passed away from a lung disease. Spade Cooley. After an iconic career as a Western swing musician, big band leader, and TV host, Cooley retired from music in 1960, getting his legacy set with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. After a year of alleged increasing abuse from Cooley toward his wife, Ella Mae Cooley, she asked for a divorce. In 1961, Cooley murdered his wife, Ella Mae, at their home. He was sentenced to life in jail. In ill health and supported by Hollywood, including then California government Ronald Reagan, Cooley was granted parole in 1970. However, before that took effect, he was granted furlough to perform a benefit concert in Oakland, California in 1969. While backstage, Cooley suffered a fatal heart attack. Johnny J. Alongside being a rapper in his own right, Johnny Jackson was a record producer, primarily with Death Row Records, which saw him working with the iconic Tupac on several albums.
And I'll just, have the track ready. He walks in, here's the beat. Give me a pen and pad. Give me a pencil. Come on, give me a pencil. That's how he was.
On top of that, he also collaborated with many other famous acts like Thug Life, Busy Bone, and Mark Wahlberg. Even after Tupac's death, Johnny helped produce multiple posthumous works by the rapper, while focusing on up-and-coming acts.
You're happy about having successful records with Tupac, producing him and all that, but at the same time, it's like he's not here to enjoy what you're enjoying.
In 2008, Johnny was arrested for a DUI in Los Angeles, California. Several months later, while reportedly serving a 3-year sentence for his crime at LA's Twin Towers Correctional Facility, Johnny seemingly jumped from a high level of the prison, ending his life. Alexei Navalny. For years, Navalny was Vladimir Putin's biggest rival in Russia, calling the president's political group United Russia a party of crooks and thieves.
Журналисты посчитали, что каждый 5-й день своей избирательной кампании я провел в тюрьме за решеткой, и это, конечно, очень хорошо характеризует то, что происходит в российской политике.
After being found guilty of controversial cases of fraud in 2020, Navalny was poisoned with a Novichok nerve agent. After going abroad for treatment and returning to Russia, he was arrested for apparently breaking his parole terms. Over the next couple of years, Navalny was found guilty of additional crimes, earning him a combined 30.5 years in jail. In 2023, he vanished from the public eye, eventually being located in an Arctic Circle corrective colony. However, a couple of months later in 2024, the authorities reported Navalny's passing due to natural causes, which has been disputed by his supporters.
I want Putin and his whole entourage, his friends and his government to know that they will be held responsible for everything they've done to our country, to my family, and to my husband. And this day will come very soon.
Bernie Madoff. As the founder of financial firm Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, Madoff's success attracted wealthy clients, including celebrities, to invest in the company's stock brokerage or asset management branches. This allowed Madoff to carve out a name for himself as a generous philanthropist, donating large sums of money to good causes. However, his business's growth seemed too good to be true, and it was.
Tonight, as much as $50 billion is gone, vanished.
From Madoff clients around the world, including celebrities like Steven Spielberg, Kevin Bacon, and Elie Wiesel.
With an estimated value of $65 billion, Madoff had created the largest Ponzi scheme in history. After confessing his scheme to his sons, they contacted the authorities. In 2009, after pleading guilty, Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in jail. In 2021, he passed away inside North Carolina's Federal Medical Center, Butner, from natural causes.
And the remorse he claimed in every message is suspect as well. At his 2009 sentencing, Madoff turned to his victims. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know that doesn't help you." It didn't, and neither does Bernie Madoff's death.
Lloyd Avery II. Bursting into the acting scene with the classic 1991 film Boys in the Hood, Avery was slowly but surely making a name for himself in the industry as he appeared in several productions.
No, he ain't scared, he's just young. Dumb.
However, in 2001, that all evaporated when he was sentenced to life in jail after killing 2 people. While imprisoned in California's Pelican Bay State Prison, Avery's cellmate was Kevin Roby, reportedly a Satanist, who had received a life sentence due to assaulting and murdering his sister. Avery, who was a devout Christian, attempted to persuade Roby to convert to his religion. According to Roby, this caused him to snap and kill Avery in 2005. Lou Pearlman. At one point, Pearlman was one of the most successful managers in the music industry.
Yeah, this is exciting. I mean, not to mention, okay, there's a tinkle to the cash register, no question about it. Unbelievable. So what'd you do? I said, I think I can do that. I think I can put a group like that together.
After all, he founded the Backstreet Boys and went on to form a company that looked after acts such as O-Town, Aaron Carter, and NSYNC. However, when the Backstreet Boys filed a lawsuit against Pearlman for cheating them out of money while he made millions, his reputation came tumbling down. It was discovered that Pearlman was running a Ponzi scheme, causing investors to lose upwards of $95 million. In 2007, after going on the run, he was located in Indonesia and arrested, earning him a 25-year sentence the following year.
It was perfect until Pearlman was caught and sentenced to 25 years in prison in 2009 for masterminding the massive scheme.
In 2016, he passed away from natural causes while imprisoned at Florida's Federal Correctional Institution, Miami. John McAfee. Founding one of the first antivirus software programs to be available to the public, McAfee created a company in his name until he resigned from it in 1994.
What's it like being John McAfee?
Well, I doubt that you would want to walk in my shoes for more than 24 hours.
From there, he became known for criticizing his former company and getting involved in politics. However, his fame was eclipsed by his controversies, which included being accused of murder. Yet what got McAfee in trouble in the U.S. was tax evasion. In 2020, after claiming for over a year that he'd been on the run, the computer programmer was arrested in Spain. After nearly a year in a Spanish jail in 2021, McAfee's extradition to the U.S. was granted. Within hours of the announcement, he reportedly took his own life.
He faced up to 30 years in prison if convicted. He was 75, and a wild ride of a life it was.
Max Clifford. If you were a celebrity who found themselves in a scandal, especially in the UK, Clifford was the person you'd turn to.
Britain's best-known PR man. Over the years, Max Clifford was the go-to publicist for a string of celebrities, becoming a famous name himself in the process.
Nicknamed the King of Spin, the publicist worked with many big names, including Simon Cowell, O.J. Simpson, and Muhammad Ali. In 2012, after the fallout of the Jimmy Savile abuse scandal, Operation U-Tree arrested Clifford for assault allegations. In 2014, after being found guilty of multiple charges, he was sentenced to 80 years in jail.
Thanks to his victims, the man who made a living out of exposing secrets has now been exposed himself.
In 2017, after collapsing from a heart attack in his cell, Clifford passed away in the hospital days later. Shortly before his demise, he'd successfully challenged his right to contest his conviction in the Court of Appeal. However, in 2019, Clifford's sentence was upheld. Aaron Hernandez. The New England Patriots had high hopes for tight end Hernandez, granting him a massive contract extension worth $39.6 million in 2012.
In his 3 years in the National Football League, Aaron Hernandez has established himself as one of the game's best tight ends. Just as he'd been for Tim Tebow at the University of Florida, he became a key target for Tom Brady.
A year later, that was destroyed when he was arrested for the murder of Odin Lloyd, causing the Patriots to release Hernandez. In 2015, the disgraced NFL star was found guilty, earning him life imprisonment. He was also indicted in 2014 for the murders of Daniel De Abreu and Safiro Furtado. In 2017, he was acquitted of the double murder. Days later, Hernandez took his own life at Massachusetts' Sousa Baranowski Correctional Center. A study later found Hernandez had chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Following his death, his conviction for Odin's murder was under appeal. In 2019, the original conviction was reinstated.
It's important to note, while the conviction will stand now, the court record will say the conviction was never affirmed or reversed because the defendant died while the appeal was pending.
Phil Spector. Best known for pioneering the wall of sound recording technique, Spector was one of the most famous record producers in the music industry. He worked with many legendary talents, including the Beatles, the Ramones, and Ike and Tina Turner. Yet all that glory was wiped away in 2003.
He appeared eccentric, troubled, lonely, a man mired in his own darkness.
That year, actor Lana Clarkson was found fatally shot at Spector's home in Alhambra, California. The producer was accused of doing this after Clarkson rejected his advances. Spector claims she accidentally did it to herself. In 2007, one of the most televised trials in history ended in a mistrial. After his second trial in 2009, Spector was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 19 years to life. In 2021, after contracting COVID-19, he passed away.
But after one mistrial, Spector was convicted in 2009 of second-degree murder.
His legacy will forever be that of a convicted murderer who happened to write songs.
Ian Watkins, lead singer of the Welsh rock band Lost Prophets, Watkins was a hero to many. Yet behind the scenes, he was a monster. In 2012, while being investigated for illegal substance allegations, police found evidence of him possessing indecent images of minors. This snowballed into the discovery that Watkins had been planning with fans to assault their children. After pleading guilty to several charges in 2013, Watkins was sentenced to 29 years in jail, resulting in Lost Prophets disbanding. Due to his celebrity and crimes, Watkins was targeted by his other prisoners. In 2025, while residing in England's HM prison Wakefield, Watkins was fatally stabbed by fellow inmates.
The former Lost Prophets singer, who was convicted in 2013, was attacked in Wakefield prison this morning.
2 convicted criminals were charged with Watkins' murder and are set to face trial for it in 2026. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Jeffrey Epstein. With an army of celebrity, political, and royal friends, Epstein was one of the most powerful financiers in the world.
You know, he was a figure of mystery in that all people really knew about him was he had kind of out of nowhere, known to be unconventional. People thought he was very good looking.
Yet even that couldn't keep him safe forever. In 2019, Epstein, who'd previously been convicted for offenses against minors, was arrested and charged for further crimes involving minors. Allegations soon emerged that he'd led an abuse network that involved some of his famous friends. Yet a month after his arrest, Epstein seemingly took his own life in his cell at New York City's Metropolitan Correctional Center.
With Epstein dead, the charges against him were dismissed, denying justice to his many victims.
However, due to CCTV issues and other suspicious activity by jail staff, there are allegations that Epstein was murdered, which has been rejected by the authorities. What other famous person who passed away in prison or police custody did we miss in the video? Let us know in the comments.